It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Follow that funky sound. You know what it means. Time for our Tech Daily Update. And we're going to focus on social media, and this might get the blood boiling a little bit. Just thinking about it certainly is freaking me out. Facebook and Twitter, we know, have managed to attract incredibly large audience, unprecedented audiences through their businesses, with most of their revenue coming from ad targeting and data collection practices. Feel the blood boiling. However, a lot is unclear when it comes to how that automated system actually works to sort and block content that needs to be removed. Here to unpack all of this is our tech expert, Brian Smith, who is also an economist and a psychologist. and I love the fact that you really do think about these angles from different, and I suppose you have to because you're a forecaster and you've got to see what's coming. But I don't even know where to begin. We know that maybe the congressional hearings is a good place to start, because this is the first time we've had a kind of watershed case saying, okay, you do actually need to be monitored. You're on every phone, possibly in the world, bar China. Where do we stand at the moment? How much monitoring is going on, and what was the big kind of revelation coming out of these congressional hearings?
Firstly, thank you. It's great to be back. And that's a really interesting question. These hearings come after Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook, appeared before the US Senate earlier this year. And as many of our listeners might remember, that was first prompted by allegations of Russian interference in the recent US election in which Donald Trump was elected president. Now, these US hearings are essentially a bid by the senatorial committees to demystify social media, and that's a very broad term. But essentially, it's a bid to clarify how social media algorithms work, how content is shown, and to specifically unpack how users' privacy is safeguarded, or if it's not at all.
So what sort of questions were asked? What did they want to find out, and what were the big findings?
So chiefly there were two very specific centers of questions I think we can broadly talk about. The first one specifically was unpacking how content is shown on social media. Of course, dealing with censorship or bans or otherwise, the depiction of certain content at the expense of others is a big concern for political entities when obviously there's allegations as serious as election interference.
Yeah.
Secondly, there was an attempt to unpack how users' data is stored. Evidently, as a result of the Cambridge Analytica scandal, we're very acutely aware now of what we put on social media and where and how our data is stored and how it might be used to influence our opinions at a later stage.
All of this is very good and well, and it's fantastic that we've reached a point where the questions are being asked, but who is ultimately the watchdog? Is there a watchdog? Who's monitoring this? Because we don't have any way of ultimately finding out if we are in. They can say we're protected, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
That's a very interesting question. And obviously now in 2018, we're in a world where the size and scale of social media networks, as you alluded to earlier, are unprecedented. We've never really had a worldwide social network that can connect this many people all around the world. And up until now, there hasn't been a watchdog. So a major takeaway from these hearings, at least it might start specifically in the United States, is there may be new regulation or perhaps a watchdog group to govern how social media companies execute their algorithms, how they show certain content, and specifically how their policies work about safeguarding user privacy and then data as well.
Ultimately, I think you want to continue, obviously, educating yourself in this space, but I always assume someone is watching, someone is listening, someone is storing the data, and just live a little bit more freaked out in that way. But yeah, I think a very positive step in the right direction when it comes to social media, and possibly we'll see the rise of that watchdog agency, something safeguarding our privacy ultimately. Now, it has finally arrived. The moment is here. She is a superstar bar none, certainly in the global soapy space. It is the one, the only Brooke Logan, aka Catherine Kelly Lang, sitting down with Ali.